In motion is Sewell. Goff to throw. Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it! Boy, Sewell with a first down! Oh, yes! The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful!
Welcome to the Twentyman the Huddle podcast presented by Microsoft, and I am very happy to welcome in Marvin Jones Jr., wide receiver. Fans know you very well, Marv, from your first stint here, now back. Does it feel like home again? Does it feel like you never left?
Yes, it definitely does. You know, I was gone for 2 years. Obviously, when we came here to play, you know, the reception that I got, it felt like I was home then.
Yeah.
I can say this now. After the first touchdown, I look over to my wife because my wife was in the stands, and she was chanting the forward down the field, and I'm looking at her like no, not today. But now she can chant it all she wants. But yeah, it definitely feels like home. Glad to be back. Everything's so familiar, even though it's a relatively different team, different coaches, but being out there on the fields, being in the locker room, being in the city, it definitely feels like home.
It's like you never left, but expectations, Marv, maybe a little bit different this time around.
Sure,
I mean, you're stepping into a situation now. Obviously, look what they did the second half of the season. Kind of started with that win over Jacksonville last year, but finished 8-2, and now you've got people talking about NFC North title. I mean, something we haven't seen here in a couple decades. You know, I mean, playoffs or kind of bust.
Yes.
Just what is it like walking into that kind of situation too, where it's home, but there's a little more expectations at home now?
Yes, I love it, and I feel like when I first got here, the first couple years, there was a little bit of that expectation. But I mean, if you go out, you step outside, I mean, everybody's talking about it. There's definitely a big buzz, a buzz that I haven't really seen here. But I love it, because that just means it's a challenge, and in this type of sport, you need that challenge, and you need something in front of you that you can overcome, So I think the team is ready for that challenge. Everybody's ready for the challenge. The city is. So it's just up to us, because we have that potential.
I'm glad you brought it up. Could you even imagine what this city would be like? I mean, you spent 5 years here. The passion of these fans. I mean, even when it wasn't going well, Ford Field was being sold out, and the passion that they have. If you can bring a consistent winner here, if you can bring a division championship, Marv, what would a home playoff game at Ford Field? What would that atmosphere even be like? Can you even let yourself think about that? Because
I'd have to bring the family back up. I think we have to stay here forever. So no, but it would be insane, And obviously that's a goal. But it starts here. It starts. In our preparation and what we do. Obviously, we have the pieces. They've talking about last year how they finished, but this is a new year. And there is the expectation, but we have to put in that work, and that's what we're doing now, and it's great.
And Marvin, I think you come here in an interesting position because you were at Jacksonville the last couple of years, and obviously a team that was, starting to maybe build something, and then they kind of took that step to get themselves into the playoffs, right, and be part of that conversation in the AFC. Does it feel like you're stepping into kind of a similar situation here too, like a team that's kind of right on the cusp, and they just need to find the right pieces to take that next step?
I mean, I would say yes, because the trajectory of both of our seasons last year was kind of the same. You know,
you guys went through a tough stretch there too.
After our loss to us, I could say. I don't think we lost a game after that, and we got into the playoffs. And got the division, and then got the home playoff game in which we won. So I'd say it definitely is similar because we had a similar path. I'm just excited for the opportunity to be here, and to add value and to help everyone achieve what we want, what's in front of us.
Made a nice touchdown in the back of the end zone, a little toe tap diving in Wednesday's OTA. So you're making your presence felt, but just maybe first impressions of this offense, Ben Johnson. What do you like about it, Marv?
I love it. And I've knew Ben for a while, since he came in here with Bevel in 19 when we got him in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Just a bright guy when he talks, and even when he was here, when he wasn't the OC, he was presenting. He was doing everything.
Did you see this trajectory with him?
Oh yeah, you definitely. I mean, when you talk to him, you definitely can see it. That where he's supposed to be. So it definitely sought after. Just a brilliant mind, and the thing that I like is just the elevation of scheme, or there's always going to be something thrown at you, and definitely just using everybody. And with our group, especially as wide receivers and running backs and the tight ends that we have, I'm pretty sure it's going to be real very fun for him to put some stuff together. But I love this offense. I love this offense, and I love the players that we have. From the O-line to the quarterback to us, all around. You look to the left and right, and you just see a lot of playmakers, and that's what you want. To be a part of, and I'm glad I'm a part of that.
Yeah, it starts with that O-line with you guys, one of the best in the league. As a wide receiver, you've got to be excited about that, because that gives the quarterback more time to obviously sit in the pocket, find you guys. You guys get more time to get open. What do you like about the wide receiver room in particular? And Antoine Randall just is a former player, right? A guy who did it at a high level in this league for a long time. What's it like having a position coach be a guy who's been in your shoes, done it, and won at a high level, and now is developing what looks like a pretty good wide receiver room? Yeah,
you said it. He played at a high level. He has a Super Bowl ring. So he's been through it, and he knows what it takes to get there. And obviously when you have that type of experience, it goes a long way, especially in developing, young players, or, just building that camaraderie, because, we know he's been there, so the receiver group is amazing, it just
I see fun. A smile there. You really like the room, don't you?
For sure. I think because I think we're going to do some great things, we have a lot of guys that can make plays. A lot of guys that add different attributes. This guy does one thing, this guy does another, or there's something similar.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to be a part of, and running routes, going out there and running routes with them. Being there, it's especially for me. At this point in my career, I like to see that.
Do they make you feel young a little bit? Having guys like Jamo and Saint, those guys that make you feel young.
Yeah, they always make me feel young. So they're young and they have the energy, but I feel like I'm still young too. So I have the same energy.
Marvin,
so it's all
I have
good.
to say, it doesn't even look like you've aged. Like, is there something you're taking in? Is there water somewhere? I know you go to Colombia. You travel a lot. Yeah. Is there something that you found, the fountain of youth or something? Because when I watch you on the field and I look at you, you look like you were here 7 years ago.
Maybe
nothing's changed.
Come to Colombia. I've been in Colombia this month, so it's all good.
Saint in particular, obviously a guy who entering his third season. I think the ceiling is so high for him. Already a Pro Bowl player. He had that chip on his shoulder of being the 17th wide receiver taken or whatever it was. Just what have you seen from Saint? And has he kind of built more of a leadership role in that room going into his third season now?
Yes, I think he has. When you have that much experience early on, you have that many catches, and you've seen a lot of footballs. You definitely grow to have that leadership responsibility. Just because there's a lot of guys that wanna play like that. You know what I'm saying? So sure. If you're a younger guy and you're coming in, and he's this guy had 100 catches and 90 catches and 1,000-yard Pro Bowl and stuff like that, you automatically have that respect. So just his work ethic is crazy. He has a crazy work ethic, and that's something that I admire about him, because not a lot of young guys come enter in the league with that type of work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
catching all the balls after practice,
for sure.
Else, yeah.
Everything. He's a pro's pro. So everything that a pro should do, he's gonna do it. And it is great to have somebody like that. In the group.
first impressions of JMO? Obviously, you're going to miss him the first 6 weeks of the season. You guys got to kind of hold the fort down. But what's maybe the first impression when you watch him? Made a lot of plays out at practice during
sure.
the minicamp period.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we can expect from him? What was your first impressions of?
I think for sure. I think the sky's the limit for him. Obviously, you see him out there. He wants to make the play. And he's gonna sell out. Even if the ball, it's hard to overthrow him or anything. But if it does happen, he's gonna sell out for it, and he's doing everything to make the play. He wants to be in that position to to make the big play for the team. And he asks questions. He does everything. He's doing everything right now that he needs to do to be a great player. So he just needs to keep it up for sure. And that speed, it's second to none. You can't teach that.
It seems to me that it would be smart for him to kind of attach his wagon close to you, stick by you. Are you one of those guys that if a guy does want kind of go underneath your wing, because you've been doing it at such a high level for so long, you've been so consistent, Marv, it seems to me like you've got a lot to offer a guy like JMO. Is that something that just has to kind of happen? Does he have to approach you? Do you approach him? I guess, how does that dynamic go between a veteran and a young player? Because it seems like it would be a perfect fit for him to kind of just follow you, emulate what you do if he wants a long, consistent career in this league.
Well, I think it kind of happens naturally. I think every team that I've been to, even going back to Cincy, after I came into a very young wide receiver room. AJ was on his second year. Me and Mo, Sanu were on our first year, and stuff like that. So I think we always built together, Sure. So we kind of taught each other things and leaned on each other, to be the best pro that we could be, But I think, in my travels, I've always been the guy. I've always been that guy to, take everybody under my wing, whoever is not specifically one person, but whoever, you know. And I think everywhere I've been, they've been asking those questions like, hey, how do you do this? Or, what'd you do when it was your first year and stuff like that. And that naturally happens out on the field. And, we're going to spend a lot of time together. So I think, in this period of time, everybody's been kind of doing that. And he's one in particular, him too. So
that's good to hear.
I don't think I need to be like, hey, you need to follow me and stuff like that, because it's already happening natural. And I think you see it out there. He works very hard, and it's just gonna be a great situation, to be a part of. And it's going to be a great group for all of us.
Couple more, Marv. What's the potential of this team, this offense?
I think it has great potential. With Ben, leading the charge, with the mind that he has, with JG under the center, with our line, with our receiving core, our running backs, our tight ends, who are amazing. I think the sky's the limit, and I'll just go back to say that we need to work for it. We need to work for it because everything is there. The pieces are there, and I'm getting hyped talking about it, So it's going to be a good one for sure.
And this is a fun, and that makes this time of year fun, right? I mean, you're a vet. You've been doing this a long time. Like, it's spring, right?
Yeah,
call me when training camp starts, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that's been the case for a lot of you older guys. Is it because you guys see the potential? You see what this could maybe be?
Yes, I think so because I didn't really necessarily need to be here, but the person I am, I want to go and make my presence felt, and I want to be there for the guys on the team, and show the coaches that hey, I'm here, So I took time off, came back and forth, but I was still here, you know what I'm saying? But for sure, that's one of the things where I told Jasmine, I told my wife, the first day I was like, I should go, just because there was something in me to say, hey, you got to go, you got to be a presence in the locker room, and you can't miss what's going on out here, it's a good thing that's going on here. Yeah. So
how is Jasmine? How's the family?
Everybody's great. Everybody's amazing. They're in San Diego right now.
You got a son going into high school? Football player?
Yes.
That makes you feel old, doesn't it? Yes. My son was a freshman too. It makes me feel a little older.
Marvin, when I signed here in this building, he was 6 years old. So he's 14, and He's going into high school. He's starting high school football this summer.
Okay.
He plays lacrosse as well, but this is his
Defensive
first
player too, huh?
Yeah, he plays linebacker. So
Finding his own way, right?
For sure. He has great hands, but maybe he'll catch 10 picks or something like that. But just a smart kid, and
Fun times.
Marion, he's 12 now. He's running the USA track, so he'll be hopefully in the Junior Olympics in about a couple months.
Fun.
Morel, he's the same. He runs track and is playing football. Yaya, she's 6 now. She'll be going on 7. Yes.
I remember when she was just a baby.
Yeah, she was born. I had to take off and was 16 when she was born. So she's in competitive cheer now. And then little Mila, she's a terror. She's just running it up. She's a princess, running
She's
it up.
the youngest. She's the princess.
She's running the house.
That's how it goes.
And doing her thing. So we'll get her
You
started.
and Jasmine
here in
are
a little
busy.
bit. Yeah, we're
It's
a
a
little
good busy, though.
It's a great busy. So yeah.
Well, it's awesome to have you back here, Marv. Thanks for taking the time to join me. I know the fans, you've always been a fan favorite, and it's exciting times here, and I'm glad you can be a part of it in your second go around. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Twentyman Huddle podcast presented by Microsoft. I am now joined by PJ Clark, and we are going to dip into minicamp. First off, that was a pretty great interview with Marv. He brought the energy on that one.
It was great. Happy to have Marv back.
I am very happy to have Marv back in Detroit. Let's talk about minicamp a little bit, PJ. 3 days, obviously limited contact, helmets and shorts. You can't glean a lot from the offensive line, defensive line, especially. Speed, space, you can glean a little bit.
Guys are running routes,
seeing stuff. I think maybe the two things that jumped out to me right from the 3 days of observing this was, one, this secondary is vastly improved. Guys like CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton, Brian Branch, we'll see Emmanuel Mosley probably later in training camp or into the season. But the 3 guys that we did see, and then having Tracy back, obviously, there was less separation from receivers. There were more hands-on footballs. There were more footballs that hit the ground. We talked to Jared, and I asked him about that, and he said he used the word stickier as his term of the difference between last year and this year. So, and it was evident to me. I mean, the compete level, I think just night and day, that secondary was much better than we saw the 3 days this time last year.
And I think the other difference is it's a lot louder. There's a lot of talking. Yeah. There's a lot of celebrating. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's going to bring that energy. But right, even the communication, him and Cam Sutton, they're barking before every play, just trying to get everybody set up in the right spot. And, CJ's helping Kirby in the back end, move him around, figure that out. Ify Melifonwu was played with the first team mostly, with Tracy still rehabbing. So they're all talking, trying to figure out the locations. And then just, you're seeing the depth now where Jerry Jacobs is running with the twos a little bit. Mm-hmm. And having him, as your next guy up is, that guy was your number 1 corner at the end of last year. Right. Now he's all of a sudden just the next guy up, which is just, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing in the secondary room.
And getting a guy like Tracy Walker back, I think, is huge too. A
Absolutely.
lot of people forget about that. He was hurt week 3 last year with that Achilles, and that leading tackler the year before. Just a guy that communicates really well. Yeah. He's the quarterback of that secondary. Getting him back, and then those additions are huge. And the other one for me was Nate Sudfeld. There's been a lot of talk about the backup quarterback job here in Detroit behind Jared Goff. Will they sign a vet before camp, or do they have enough if something happens to Jared? And I thought Nate was terrific over the course of the 3 days.
He's been ripping it.
He's played in 6 games. He's thrown only 37 passes. So that's the knock, right? We just haven't seen enough of him. Yeah. He comes from a good program in Philly. And what I saw, Pete, was a guy who stood back in the pocket, tall, delivered the football, knew where to go with it, delivered on time, accurate, had a strong arm. He ran that second team offense, and they went up and down the field, I thought, over the course of the 3 days, winning a lot of their situational football periods against the defense. And I thought he was really, really good. He made my list of 5 guys that impress, or he will make it. That'll come out on Saturday. And I just thought he was good. I thought he answered a lot of question marks about that backup quarterback job.
I was really impressed at his ability. He pushed the ball downfield, which, it's practice. It's a good thing to do, but accurately and to the sidelines especially. There's been a lot of 2-minute, 30-second, need a touchdown, got to go downfield from the -40, got to score a touchdown. And Nate Sudfeld is hitting little, outs to the sideline every time to get out of bounds. And that's, far hash, still delivering it on time, splitting coverages in the zone. I've been really impressed with Nate Sudfeld, and honestly, the second team offense as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. I thought LaPorta and Gibbs looked really good. I thought those are 2 youngsters that are going to have an opportunity to make an impact early on. Gibbs, I think the running game you can evaluate without pads and without pads up front. So I think we'll see more of that part of it come training camp. But for me, what he does in the passing game and what he provides in the passing game, I think you can line him out wide. You can put him in the slot. Look, he had a couple drops, but when I watch him, the route running is terrific, and he doesn't slow down at all or break stride when he catches the football. It's really fun to watch. It doesn't have to be right in front of him either. If it's high or low, he just snatches the ball and continues moving and then turns and gets upfield. It's different from, you see that from really good wide receivers. You see that from Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you don't see that much from running backs. That's the one thing I noticed with him. And then with LaPorta, just the separation. He's just a guy that seems to be open a lot. And look, that tight end position, that's the second hardest for a rookie to learn outside of quarterback. You're essentially learning 3-4 positions. Plus, you have to know all the checks. You have to know the run game fits. You have to know the protections. It's really hard to play that position. But he's a smart guy, and he's picking it up. He's making mistakes, but he's picking up. But the one thing with him was the separation that he gets. And then with Gibbs, it's just his ability to not break stride, catch the football, and make big plays. It was funny. On Wednesday, he made a catch, and he was kind of alone. Little slant he caught in the middle, and he caught it kind of turned upfield, and I heard one of the offensive players shout goodbye. Like, he's earning that reputation already. If there's no one around him and he gets in space, he's gone. And I think that's a good reputation to have early on for a youngster.
That exact play. So we tweeted a clip of it, and that one, it was even like you said, ball's thrown a little bit high, just goes up, snatches it, all hands, comes down, does not even blink, and just cuts up the sideline, and nobody's, it got blown dead because I think the safety was over the top, just got a hand on him.
Yeah.
You're not tackling Junior Gibbs at full speed coming across the middle like that. So he's been, really impressive. Like you said on the first day, especially Tuesday, worked through some drops, but it's, what more did you want from his first little taste of full squad action? I think it would be the answer. And then LaPorta, to me, I think he's been the standout through the offseason program for me. Contested catches over the middle, sideline. He's playing split out wide. He's playing in the slot. The amount of just the versatility, and he's running more with the 2s than the 1s right now. But
that's just how it works.
That's how you got to start.
That's not going to be happening long.
But I will say the Sudfeld LaPorta connection, if it ever gets that far, I'm buying stock.
It's been good. Has anything else jumped out to you over the course of the 3 days? And again, it's hard because it's pads. You can't really evaluate the offense. There's no pads. You can't evaluate the offensive lineman. You can't do some of those things. I think maybe a couple for me. I think the competition at linebacker is going to be really good. I think Derek Barnes has kind of put himself into that conversation. I don't think that position is just going to be handed to Jack. I think Jack's going to have to earn that. Malcolm was a little dinged up. We didn't see him, but obviously, from what he did last year, he's going to be in the mix as well. They've signed Jalen Reeves-Maben, a guy that's really good on third down, good in space. Obviously, special teams is going to be his forte, but we saw in his first stint here, he found his way onto the field on defense, especially in passing situations, so he could be in the mix too. I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic, and I think the depth at edge, I think, showed a little bit in minicamp too. Obviously, again, no pads, so they're not really going after it. But look, you're going to have Charles Harris and you're going to have Aiden Hutchinson. Those were the 2 guys on the edge. But look, James Houston's going to mix himself in. You've got Kamish that's back. You've got a bunch of guys that are looking to be in that position. Romeo Okwara is another one, back healthy. He said he feels as good as he has in a couple of years. So I think it'll be really interesting to see not only who starts and kind of the depth there, but roster spots too. I mean, a guy like Julian Okwara, and where does everybody fit in the mix now? I think that's a deep group, and not everybody's going to make this squad. I think they're going to be in a situation on the edge to maybe, have to release a guy that could certainly be picked up by another team and compete and play for them. I think that linebacker spot and that edge spot are going to be two positions to watch for you guys when training camp starts.
And to throw another one in, I every time I see Broderick Martin, I start to get it more.
Yeah.
He is just a massive human being. And I thought even some of the UDFAs, Corey Durden had a good couple pass breakups on Wednesday. A lot of from the interior, Broderick had a couple and Durden had a couple. Very hand aware in passing lanes, which I think when you have the big bodies like that, it's a good thing to have, especially when it happened most of the time in red zone. So you're in tight, 15-yard line. They're getting hands ready to bat balls down at the line of scrimmage, which can only create good things if you're the defense. So I think that's another thing to keep an eye on as well.
I think maybe the last one for me, the kicker competition. We did not see, Michael Badgley. I don't know if he's dealing with something or he just didn't take part in the minicamp stuff. We did see Parker Romo. We did see Riley Patterson. Mixed results. I think Thursday I had them both down as 7 for 11 on their field goals. They did kind of a little competition. I think all three guys will head into camp. It'll be interesting too. There, Romo's got the big leg. Patterson and Badgley obviously have the experience, a little more accurate. Kind of how that plays out and who wins that, I think, will be an interesting one to watch as well.
It is, and it's going to end up mattering. You see it in a handful of games a year where it's going to come down to a field goal at some point. So you have to feel confident with who it's going to be. And the Lions have had kicker competitions the last couple of years in training camp and still on the search for that consistent guy. And now you got 3 of them. The odds are increased if you're going to keep 3 around. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. But Romo especially, I can't remember if it was Tuesday or last week, but he was hitting a couple from 60 plus.
It was the second OTA, open OTA.
Little eye-opening, for sure.
He's got a big leg. He's got the biggest leg of the 3, but in the end, to me, it's can you hit that 46-yarder? That's got to be automatic, and so that's where I think he's got to prove himself. He was 17-19 in the XFL, though, so he's got a little track record of success there, too. So, look, it's a lot of interesting competitions. There's a lot of depth on this football team. I think this is going to be one of the funnest training camps I've covered in my 15 years covering the team.
Definitely.
Just because they've got depth all over this roster. There's no real spot where I look at and they're like, wow, they're pretty weak there, And obviously the expectations are what they are, and the NFC North is right there, and it should be fun. We got to get through one more OTA next week. I think a lot of the vets are out here. It'll be more focused on the youngsters, and then we get summer break, and then boom, it's training camp at the end of July, and this is going to be a fun one.
Should be a fun one.